Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Cohn Phone. I'm Grant Cohn, the originator of the Cohn Phone, the answerer of the Cohn Phone. I'll be talking to you guys for the next hour and a half, and I'll do this again tomorrow before football starts. So what I want to know from you guys today is how you feel about your team at the bye week, 4-4. So coming off an NFC Championship game appearance, you think 4-4, not exciting, not great. But they beat the Rams last week, and Niner fans feeling really happy about that. I want to know how you feel. And I'm not being snarky. You've heard how I feel all week. I'd love to hear takes from all sides. If you feel great, I want to know why. If you're feeling not that great, I want to know why. Also, if you want to talk about the Warriors, I'm game too, because suddenly they're really interesting. What are they, like 3-7? And they got that James Wiseman, who nothing against him. He's probably a really nice guy. But he looks like he's the biggest bust since Jamarcus Russell. Not his fault. That's the Warriors' fault. Joe Lacob's fault. And he's so powerful and so successful, it seems like everyone in the Bay Area is like, I can't say how terrible his pick was. So if you want to talk about that, I'm game. Okay, what I want to talk about first before we get into the calls. Anyway, I put the link in the description for the video and the, what do you call it? The chat. So if you want to call in, click that. Brush your teeth first, though. Wash your face. There's a debate going around on Twitter about who would you rather have quarterbacking this team right now? Who would you rather have as the quarterback of a stacked roster? Jimmy Garoppolo now or prime Alex Smith? And it's interesting. I feel like most Niner fans would say, well, maybe depends how old you are. If you're old and nostalgic, you might say Alex Smith. If you're younger, you might say Jimmy Garoppolo. Because Jimmy Garoppolo has a far superior win percentage in the regular season than Alex Smith had with the 49ers. People didn't really like Alex Smith at the time. He was the number one pick. He played as a young guy. He lost a lot. He wasn't quite ready. He had some bad coaches, and he needed to develop. And Niner fans wanted him benched. I mean, they used to chant it during games. We want David Carr. He got benched for Troy Smith. I don't even remember what his name was. He went to Ohio State. It was bad. And then Jim Harbaugh came and resurrected his career. But what I want to say, Alex Smith at 28 was the quarterback of that 2012 team that went to the Super Bowl. He got replaced halfway through. But his quarterback rating that year was 104. His completion percentage that year was 70. I mean, that was at 28, and that was after like a year and a half in the system. It was the first time Alex Smith had been in a system for more than one season ever, and all of a sudden, he was the most efficient he'd ever been and more efficient than Jimmy Garoppolo ever was. And he didn't get to play in the playoffs that year because he got replaced by Kaepernick, who also was very good and really did well in the playoffs that year. So not saying that was the wrong call, but we're talking who would you rather have between these game managers? Alex Smith? Alex Smith had a better skill set. He was less limited, the way I see it. With Jimmy Garoppolo, he plants himself in one spot. He doesn't throw the ball away. He doesn't really throw the ball deep very much. He plants himself on his back foot and throws with that little quick release, like floaters over the middle. And when he completes it, you say it's a gutsy pass. And when he gets intercepted, you say, like, what were you thinking? And that's every game he's ever played. Alex Smith, at least he, didn't just force passes over the middle. He would throw passes away. He could avoid sacks. He would use his legs. He could scramble. I'm not saying he was a great passer, but I just felt he was way more mature. He made better decisions. He wouldn't lose the game for you. And then in his first playoff game ever, he outdueled Drew Brees and made huge plays down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Jimmy's never done that. I mean, he made the throw to Vernon Davis in the fourth quarter with the game on the line, then ran for the touchdown. Those are huge plays. Jimmy's the worst fourth quarter quarterback statistically in the history of the sport. And then the next week against the Giants, they lost, but Alex Smith didn't lose. He wasn't the reason they lost. They lost because of special teams, those fumbles. So I'm just saying I think Alex Smith would be the pick for me. I think he'd be the pick. I mean, Andy Reid traded for Alex Smith. You think Andy Reid would ever be interested in Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't see it. Andy Reid coached under Mike Holmgren and coached under Bill Walsh. Those coaches want quarterbacks who can use their legs. Joe Montana, Steve Young, Brett Favre, Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes, not Jimmy Garoppolo. Nothing against Jimmy. It's just that his limitations are so apparent that when you get to the playoffs and teams are really prepared and dialed in to take away what he does well, they do it. He's never had a good game in the playoffs, but he will. If he catches you slipping in November, oh, he's got you. All right, that's what I wanted to say. That is my rant on Jimmy Garoppolo versus Alex Smith. Let's take some calls. Omer, are you pulled over? Are you driving? You pulled over? All right, let's talk, buddy. What's up?
Hey, how you doing, Grant?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm really into or I'm trying to get into sports journalism. I'm
Okay.
at fourth year at college right now, so I don't know, trying to pave my way into there somehow.
Nice.
So I was looking at the Niners schedule, and now that they're 4-4, they really don't have a lot of room to mess up like they did earlier into the season. And I always see the Niners, they post how would you grade this performance, or it's some channel like the SF Niners or something. It's always A+ when they win any game, and then an F when they lose any game. And I'm sort of more in the middle sometimes. Sometimes they play okay and lose because really bad plays by one or two players. So I was just wondering what so if the Niners lose this next game or the one after, or if they lose both, do you think all Niners fans are going to sort of be out on the season? Because even my cousins, we've been watching for a long time, and we're always joking about putting Brock Purdy in. And yeah, just because I think the offense is really, really limited with Jimmy, and I don't think Brock Purdy is going to save anyone. But yeah, I think there's a very low ceiling, or Jimmy's ceiling is so much lower than any other quarterback that you could put in this offense, I feel.
Yeah, it's too bad they didn't draft someone better than Brock Purdy. No offense to Brock Purdy, but the last pick in the draft, that's a little cute to me. I mean, the Patriots took a guy in the 4th round, and he's good enough to start and win games for them. If Brock Purdy can do that, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And also, what do you feel because I feel Fred Warner, even last season, he came on at the end of the season more so than in the beginning. Do you think because you always say, and I sort of agree, when Niners pay players, they tend to start doing a lot worse. How do you feel Fred Warner is going to do near the end of the season? Because I think he if he plays good, our offense or our defense can be really, really good. But if he doesn't, it's he needs to fill in a lot of the holes that the defensive line can't really carry in for the run game and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Fred Warner this year because Dre Greenlaw's hurt, Azeez Al-Shaair's hurt, and the whole defense is in and out. He needs to be really, really good. So far, he's been able to do that. He wasn't those 2 weeks Atlanta and Kansas City, but last week he was good. You saw that running spear hit he had. I just feel like the Niners are always telling their players, extreme violence, run, play as fast as you can. I just don't think it leads to longevity for these careers, and he plays a high-impact position. So, I mean, just realistically, you got to expect him to be probably battling through some injuries by the time week 17 to 18 come around, and he's just going to have to soldier through it. Hopefully it's nothing he can't play through because Greenlaw and Al-Shaair are working through that stuff right now.
Mm-hmm. All right, those are the 2 questions I had. Thanks a lot, Grant, and I hope you have a nice day, man.
You too, man. Thanks for calling in. Bryant.
Hey, Mr.
What's up,
Grant.
dude? How you doing? Nice hat.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I just really, wanted to ask you 2 questions too, real quick.
Sure.
We got 3 games left in the division, the Niners, and how do you think they'll do? Do you think they go 6-0? Do you think they go 4-2? Do you think they split?
That's an interesting question. Arizona's very interesting to me.
Yes.
Because, let's talk about Arizona. Everyone makes fun of Arizona because of Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray and all that stuff. But they're 3-4 against the Niners in the last 4. No, 3-1 against the Niners in the last 4. Sorry, math. I think they're a tough matchup for the Niners. I feel like they give the Niners more problems than they give anyone else in the division.
Yeah, and if you look back at, when they came into the Niners division with the Seahawks, since then they have really, really owned the Niners. Before that, the Niners had a winning record against them.
Sure.
But now it's almost tied up. I think
Even Harbaugh had a tough time against him back in the day. Yeah.
Do you remember the Kaepernick interception debacle?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been going on for a long time.
So, like, I
But
think we overlook them a lot because we have this stigmatism against the Seahawks. But go ahead.
well, I think what they do offensively kind of gives the Niners problems. The Niners are sort of an old school defense that's built through the front seven, not the back seven as much, although that changed this year. But like all those premium players on the D line built to stop the run between the tackles. Well, Cardinals don't run the ball well at all. Like they want to just throw screens, and that gets like Nick Bosa and the Niners D lineman chasing side to side. It kind of takes them out of the game. And then when they do pass, Kyler Murray, he wants to scramble and run around and get out of the pocket. And the Niners are so bad at keeping mobile quarterbacks in the pocket. I mean, Nick Bosa included.
Yes.
I feel like what they do is they just rush. It's all about the get off, right? You got to time the snap and get off quickly and get in the backfield. But I mean, all that momentum and power going to one spot, all it takes is a quarterback who can juke you a little bit, and all of a sudden it's chaos. We saw Justin Fields do it. We've seen Kyler Murray do it any number of times. And I feel like other teams do a better job against sort of gimmicky quarterbacks like that. But the Niners, I mean, all of a sudden, Marcus Mariota is a player of the week against the 49ers. And Kyler's a lot slipperier than Marcus Mariota. So I'm not saying the Cardinals are going to beat him twice this year, but I think a lot of people think the Niners are going to beat them twice. And I'm looking at that as maybe a split.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know it's not the fan favorite pick here, but I think we split. I think we go 2-1. I think we're gonna, get a win against the Cardinals, and Seattle. We might lose that game. It's an ugly game up there in Seattle. It's like we got to play the refs too. And then the other question is do you see?
It's a turf field.
Yeah.
It's really loud. Like that is a legit home field. It's like going to play the Rams at SoFi. It's not like that. It's really hard to play there. And that defense is way better than it was week 2. And the Niners, I mean, who knows what they're going to look like. I really feel like losing Emmanuel Mosley is the biggest loss. People talk about Trey Lance. Yeah, that's really big too. But they have a backup who's been a starter in this system for 5 years.
Yeah.
To go from Emmanuel Mosley to Diamador Lenore, oh my God. And you're never going to, unless Jason Verrett can save this secondary, you're always going to have that weakness that teams like Buffalo and Kansas City, like Philly, can really attack. And we're not going to see necessarily like those tests in the regular season. The Niners could run the table, feel great about themselves, get to the playoffs, and then face a team with like kind of like Kansas City with some real firepower and lose. And be like, damn, well, at least the regular season was fun. I mean, that could all happen.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. And my last question real quick, because I know everybody's calling.
No one's calling in. You can say in as long as you want. It's just me and you today.
Okay. Hey,
seriously,
we could have a really good show.
Let's just do the whole show. Yeah.
Do you think Armstead's coming back at all?
I can't predict. Like that's the thing that's so scary about his injury, the plantar fasciitis. The Niners can't predict. You'd be like, so what's the timeline for Eric Armstead? Like, yeah, it doesn't really work that way. You kind of just check on him every week and you look at the swelling, and if it goes down, scary stuff. And I think this is the kind of injuries that happen to athletes as they approach 30, certain athletes as they approach 30. And it's just the unfortunate reality of athletics and players getting older. And again, I think the Niners really need to reassess their willingness to give out big second contracts to players. Because, one, it's football. 2, it doesn't seem like careers are getting longer. It feels like they're getting shorter. And even the ones that do go long, it's guys that are just like constantly rehabbing and trying to get back at once they get to like 26 or 27. With certain exceptions. And so the Niners in particular have a really bad track record of keeping players on the field. Maybe you're the kind of team that should just have some self-awareness and stick with the young guys. I don't know.
So I know we're on Armstead right now, and with you being there, you hear a lot more than I do. I can read as much as I can, but you're there closer. So is it true that his injury is going foot to foot now?
Yeah, that's the weird thing. So they said he had plantar fasciitis in one foot, and then he was like working his way back, and apparently he injured his other foot in practice or during the rehab process.
Yeah.
And hasn't really been able to do anything since then. And I hate to keep coming back to the Niners training staff because I don't know anything about it. But how many times has a player suffered a setback or gotten injured again while rehabbing under the supervision of the 49ers staff. I mean, it happens too often. It's happened more than once. So that's just so strange. And now it feels like this injury, I don't know, is almost worse than the original because now there's no word of him. You never see him at practice. He's never out there like almost coming back. Maybe this week. But
Yeah.
you keep asking Kyle, like, hey, man, how's Armstead doing? He's like, oh, he's doing great. Making progress. Okay. And then it's like Wednesday and he's not practicing. It's like, okay. Should you have put him on IR? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Just keeping a roster spot for someone who's not playing or practicing.
I know he's
seems
a
to have
fan
season games.
favorite. I know he's been on the team forever. You know, he's a California guy. He's a Sacramento native. You know, he does a lot for the community. But I think you've nailed it. I think hindsight, a lot of people's nailed it. We should have kept Buckner. But right since he's been out, it seems like everybody can just run up the middle on the Niners. And at this point, nobody seems to be able to contain the middle. I think you're right. Fred Warner has to do something big here soon. And if he doesn't, then, you know, that's what's going to happen. Because if we do feel somebody like Buffalo in the Super Bowl, Josh Allen's just going to run straight through our defense, straight through it.
That's the thing. Like, people have really good feelings about the Niners right now because they smashed the Rams. But the Rams are not a measuring stick like they were last year. The Rams can't run the ball at all because they can't block. That's why them trading for Christian McCaffrey would have been real cute. Like, okay, he's going to look terrible on your team. You can't block anyone. So the Niners just shut down the Rams run game. Great. Like, are you going to shut down the Chargers run game? Are you going to shut down? I mean, I'm just curious because as you pointed out, without Armstead, even though I feel he's overpaid, he's still a good player. Like, when he's on the field, he's making a positive impact, even if it's not as great of an impact as I think his contract requires. Still, he is good against the run and he creates pressure against the pass. And now you don't have that at either defensive tackle spot. And you're eventually going to have to go against some teams that can exploit that. The Rams aren't one of them. That's my thing with the Rams when people keep like saying like, hey, boom, there you go. And it's like, oh, the Rams are going nowhere. That team is not. Someone put Andy Liu on. He's Lightyear's Pod. He's phenomenal. I was on his show last week. He compared the Niners' energy right now to the Houston Rockets. It's like, whoa. You're celebrating because you beat the Rams in a regular season game, and now you're 4-4. Like, that's the kind of stuff the Rockets would do when they beat the Warriors in the regular season. Like, okay, that's one game. The Warriors beat you in the championship last year to go and win the finals. So that's the kind of made me laugh about this whole week with the Niners. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's always great to beat the Rams and stuff, but like people saying they're the scariest team in the NFL and they're going to the Super Bowl now. It's like, do you not remember how you felt last week? You remember how you felt, or the week before?
That's why, like, you know, I want to be confident against it. I'm a fan. You know, I want to be confident against any team that the Niners play. But
for sure,
looking back at like last year, I think that was probably our window because we would have been playing Cincinnati. You can't guarantee a team like Cincinnati is going to win the championship and go to the Super Bowl this year. It's looking more like it's going to be Buffalo or Kansas City. I know that's what it was last year looking like, but, you know, Cincinnati became that unicorn.
In retrospect, both teams in the Super Bowl last year were kind of mediocre.
Correct.
That's what's going on with the NFL these days. Like, these teams that make it all the way aren't necessarily that much better than teams that miss the playoffs entirely. That's parity. And so the Niners had a real chance last year because, I mean, they beat both teams that were in the Super Bowl. They literally beat both. They were 3-0 against the teams in the Super Bowl, but they couldn't get the job done. And now both of those teams are on the outside looking in, like flimsy ass teams. And the Niners are still chugging away, but they're 4-4. But now, to your point, it seems like they're better teams. You got an undefeated Philly team. The Chiefs have been together a long time. They're good. The Bills look really good. This might be a tougher year to win a Super Bowl. Last year was a nice. Mahomes, they weren't in it. It was the fraudulent Bengals with Zach Taylor, Kyle Shanahan, Midwest over there. All right, I'm done.
Well, out of the remaining schedule, I would have to say that the division games are probably the scariest for the Niners at this point because we play them twice a year and they know us probably better than any of the other teams. I think, you know, the Niners, barring injuries and going in confident, because San Diego's still pretty banged up a little bit as far as I understand. And New Orleans, they're in and out. they shut out the Raiders, but that's the Raiders. And then the Niners got to beat the Raiders, and from there on out, it's at the Tampa Bay, and we don't know what Tom Brady will be getting that game. Are we getting old man Tampa, or are we getting Tom Brady that wants to come to the Niners next year?
True, Frank. I see you there. You're next, buddy. Let's talk about the Chargers for a second, because let's not overlook the Chargers.
No,
they're what, 4-3. Now it looks like kind of a fraudulent 4-3. I think they've given up like 30 more points than they've scored, which isn't. They're not a good team. I mean, they lost J.C. Jackson. Keenan Allen's been hurt, but they have one hell of a quarterback, and he can move. I know he's been hurt. I don't know if he's still hurt, but if the Niners lost to Justin Fields and Marcus Mariota, you can't just write off the Chargers here.
No.
No.
And I think they played each other this week. I think it's San Diego versus Atlanta.
Oh, beautiful. That'll be very informative to watch.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on. Everybody, if Kyle starts slipping, buy a hat.
That's right. Thanks for carrying the show, man. Good stuff.
All right. Thanks for having me. You have a great day.
For sure. You too. Frank.
Grant, big fan.
How are you? Oh, thank you.
Been watching you for a long time, following you since the Press Democrat days.
Appreciate you. Where are you from?
Clear Lake, California.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Up in Lake County,
nice.
Northern California.
Yeah.
So anyways,
North Bay.
went to the Chiefs game. First game ever for a 49er fan, and it was rough.
It was rough.
It was really rough. But anyways, so just want to talk a little bit about Debo.
Okay.
It wasn't pretty. So he dropped a couple balls, and it was a really rough game as a 49er fan. And it was let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Well, Grant, everybody's really been the major broadcasters have really been watching you, and I can tell that they're everything that you're saying the next day they're saying it. So it's really awesome to see your recognition. And so back in the day, though, Seb, old coach, all those guys, I used to comment a little bit, but Seb, yes.
Seb.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
But seeing you just grab it and go with it, and it's been a really awesome ride, Grant. Just want to say thank you for everything you do. Kind of nervous here, so this is my first time, so maybe next time I'll be a little more calm.
Frank, I got a question for you. Were you a commenter in the forums back then?
I did a little bit. My handle was like Waterman10 or something like that. Okay. Waterman_10. So I commented a little bit, but man, that was wild and crazy. Seb was quite the character back then, and
he was the center of attention, right? I wonder what happened to these people.
And then watching you doing your Periscope thing, and then just kind of blossomed from there into the YouTube. I started following when you had about 4,000 followers, and
thanks,
but it's awesome. It's been a crazy ride as a 49er fan, because I've been a fan since in the 80s, and I agree. Excellence, we believe in excellence, and we believe in good quarterback play. Yeah. And it's been, I'm a huge Steve Young fan. The last Super Bowl, that was my first Super Bowl party that I ever had. So, but anyways, it was great.
Isn't it kind of frustrating how, you were never going to have dynasties like they had back then, because the salary cap kind of prevents that. But Niner fans want great quarterback play. And every time Jed York hires a coach, the first thing the coach says is like, we're going to run the ball. It's like, come on. Okay. Can we please pass the ball? Can we please pass the ball? Like, we invented passing the ball. We freaking invented I'm just saying, we modernized it.
I mean, we always had a good defense. Defense wins championship, but you got to pass the ball, and, let's get some, yak guys are cool, but, getting guys that can catch the ball and run good routes and have a little finesse. I mean, that's cool too. But,
49ers football is passing to set up the run.
That's
I
right.
mean, what York football is Midwest running to set up the pass. Like, no. Bill Walsh showed us the way in 1979. But here we are.
Here we are.
It's
Running
funny.
the
Chip
football.
Kelly and Kyle Shanahan have the same philosophy. Kyle Shanahan goes slow. He huddles up. He does motion. Chip Kelly goes very fast. No huddle, no motion. But essentially, they want to run the ball. Jim Harbaugh wanted to run the ball. Mike Nolan wanted to run the ball. Mike Singleton, because that's what Jed wants to do. Because he grew up in Youngstown. He's probably a Bears fan at heart. That's my rant.
Well, yeah, because like you're saying, the cold weather teams. We're not a cold weather team.
No.
That's what cold weather teams do is run the football.
That's what they do. And it's great. You got to be balanced. But I feel like Jed wants to just run the ball. It's like, no.
That's right.
You got to pass it sometime. Can we get a bit? And we're over here talking about who's a better quarterback, Alex Smith or Jimmy Garoppolo. Man, are those the only options? These are the 49ers.
Oh my God! So the Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick battles, and so then we got the Trey Lance and the Jimmy Garoppolo battles, and that's another thing I wanted to say is, when they kept Jimmy, not that I hate Jimmy, but when they kept Jimmy, it was the writing was on the wall that they were going to get Trey hurt, and that they really
that they were going to use him irresponsibly. They were going to use him without conscience. Yeah,
that's right.
Right.
They had a backup plan, and so when
it almost kind of foreshadowed how they were going to use him. Like, hey, we don't really feel that great about passing based on what just happened. So we're going to run a lot at first to win games. And there's inherent risks that comes with that. So might as well keep Jimmy and just say that, that's kind of how it feels in retrospect, right? Hey, well, here's the game plan for week 1. Let's keep Jimmy.
all the fans were saying, I'm not all the fans, but we were all saying, let's not run him between the tackle. Let's not have another Arizona game. And then they kept Jimmy. They had a backup plan. They ran him through the, in the tackles. And they're doing the same thing with Christian McCaffrey, keeping him in the fourth quarter. I was yelling at my TV. I was like, what are you guys doing? Get him out of there, and it was just, and then Kyle, the national reporters are even asking him, or the local reporters were asking him, hey, why were you guys running Christian? And he gets defensive and
because we almost lost that game to Detroit. Dude, you have Jeff Wilson Jr. on the team. He just was averaging 8 yards a carry last week, and now you don't trust him? Oh, because he fumbled that one. But Christian fumbled in this game twice.
That's right.
In the same game.
It's great. I think people are watching you, and the questions that keep on being asked are getting, Kyle's getting more and more serious questions. People are starting to question him. And it's funny
he's got a 2-week reprieve because he beat the Rams and he's got a bye week. But he better beat the Chargers or else all the questions come back.
That's right. And we're such a yo-yo as fan base. 1 week we lose, it's the end of the world. Next week we win, and all of a sudden we're going to the Super Bowl.
But to be fair to the fan base, doesn't it feel like that's kind of like what happens when you're rooting for a good team that's kind of poorly coached? When they win, it's like, boom, okay, they're back on track. And they lose, it's like, are you kidding me? Kyle, it's the Falcons. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's kind of fair. That's kind of, it's not year one. It's not like, hey guys, let's be patient. They just started. Like, no, they changed the culture. These are all their players. They made all the trades and draft picks they needed, and this is what they have. It's like 4-4. Okay, great. If you could turn around and get it right from here, great. But if you lose to the Chargers, it's fair to be like, I'm losing confidence.
Well, it's really going to depend on whether or not the other team wants to catch those interceptions or not. I mean,
the Rams didn't feel like it this week. They just didn't feel like it. Ramsey was like, no, you win.
Yeah, Ramsey, I love seeing him getting clowned. He's so feisty, and he always does a little extra after every play. So to see him get bulldozed by Debo and just totally miss that interception, it's kind of fun to see as a fan.
The fact that Ramsey repeatedly gets into little things with Robbie Gould, the kicker, more than once, in multiple, I think NFC Championship games too. It must mean that the Niners are in his head somehow. The kicker,
yeah. The Niners are in the Rams' head, definitely.
Whatever Robbie's doing, keep doing.
He's got a little extra for everybody though. When he tackles somebody, he'll flip the leg up or do crazy stuff like that. But
I played baseball growing up. Not that I was great at it, but the way I always felt, in Little League and in high school, like if there's something on the other team that some player didn't like, do that. Keep doing that. Take him out of the game. I mean, take his head out of the game. You're not breaking rules. Like remember when Alex Rodriguez walked over the mound and Dallas Braden lost it and was like, "Get off my mound!" That was 10 years ago. If I were Alex Rodriguez or on the Yankees, we would have just walked over the mound every single. Like, what are you gonna do about it, dude? Every single time, and you're pissed, and now you're mad. Okay, good. I want you to be mad because now you're not gonna play as well.
And how about the halfback pass? I mean, the Rams didn't know that was going to come again. I mean, that was just.
How many? In 2 games in no. Well, they didn't do it. They probably should have called it in the NFC Championship game. Dumb. It worked again.
Right.
All right, Frank. Hey, you calmed down and did really good. I knew you would. You were trying to run off the show. You did a good job.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I got a lot of things to say, but I'm gonna during the week. I always think, man, I'm gonna talk to Grant about this. I'm gonna talk about Grant about that. I never do, but I'm gonna start writing things down, and I'll be a little better prepared next time.
You were great, Frank. Don't apologize. You were phenomenal. Thank you. Good stuff. All right, take care. Colton, I think you're driving, so if you could just pull over, we could talk because it's a liability and all of that. So. Colton's driving, but when he pulls over, we're gonna talk. For shizzle. Oh, here we go. Irvin. What's up, man? Hold on, you're muted. Press the little thing.
What's up, my man?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Can't complain at all, man.
Good.
Ain't nobody gonna listen anyway. But how you, man? How you been?
Same. Pretty much. Can't complain. Yep.
What's up, man? Listen, I just wanted to jump in real quick. To talk about this whole trade with Jeff Wilson, man. Still kind of like torn because I mean, I agree with you, man, on it because I didn't see why they were making the move when they made it. To me, they could have benefited from having him at least through the end of the season. Worst case scenario, he would have walked at the end of the season, got a better deal. They still could have got some type of compensation out of it.
I got a question for you. Why were they so disrespectful to Jeff Wilson Jr.? Let's compare Jeff Wilson Jr. to Sean Gibson, okay? Elijah Mitchell goes down. Jimmy Ward goes down. Sean Gibson steps up. Jeff Wilson steps up. Who played better?
Exactly.
You could argue Wilson was. I mean, Gibson had some nice moments. Wilson was really good too. Jimmy Ward comes back to the Niners like, sorry, buddy, we got Gibson now. Sorry, buddy, you were a top 100 player last year, but we really like Gibson at 31 years old. And Jeff Wilson Jr. is chugging along, and the Niners like can't wait to freaking replace him. They get McCaffrey, fine. Then they're like, oh, Elijah Mitchell's coming back. We're not going to use you anymore. What the hell has Elijah Mitchell done this year? He's been hurt the whole year. And now you're like, hey, we got no use for you anymore, Jeff. Like, okay.
Not only has it been hurt the whole year, he's been hurt almost his
whole career.
The majority of the time he's been here. Exactly.
Right. And so disrespectful, man. Like, really.
Man.
So you're just going to drop Jeff Wilson down to third in the depth chart. Okay. All right, fine. So, let the Dolphins get a stud. Jeff Wilson Jr. and Raheem Mostert, that frankly should be the Niners backfield. It's cheap. It's good. It's in Miami. Crazy.
Here you go, Mike.
Here you go, man. Man.
You need them.
Yeah.
They know the system.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't understand it, man. And then you're like, what's been more of an Achilles heel for these guys? Like injuries or draft picks? You're so hung up to get draft picks back that you're going to trade somebody who can be beneficial to you down the stretch.
Right, and you're so bad at keeping veterans healthy that you're trading away all your draft picks to invest in veterans. Like, have some self-awareness. I'm sorry. And look, Christian McCaffrey, great so far. Hope he has a Frank Gore-like career, but I'm not betting against him. I'm betting against the Niners. You know what I'm saying? I'm betting against the Niners. Yeah.
Let's not forget his history of injuries the last couple of years, man.
I've seen him in person, man. He's not exactly built like Frank Gore. He's kind of small. Sorry.
I mean,
they're going to give him 27 touches a game? Good luck, Christian.
Listen, he looked great last week.
He did.
But let's not ignore the fact that he had 2 fumbles.
He did.
And if we didn't have Johnny on the spot guys there to get the ball when he fumbled, it would have been a lot different. It would have been a lot different.
The first fumble was a drop. The second fumble, dude, he got stuck so hard by Jalen. This is the difference in the game. Jalen Ramsey annihilates Christian McCaffrey. The ball pops right up in the air, like in Green Bay, and just lands magically in Ray Ray's hands. So that's luck. And then Jalen Ramsey again has a chance to change the game and jumps the pass, drops the pick. He's a hell of a player, but he got unlucky on one and he dropped the ball on the other. But that's the game right there, essentially.
Those could have been game-changing plays, man. And then what would have been the talk
then would the narrative be? Exactly.
Exactly.
Hey, but as long as they beat the Chargers next week, none of it matters. Hey, as a fan, do you think that they're this bye week, getting healthy, figuring it out, turning it around, here they go, or are you thinking like, man, we just beat the Rams, like I have no confidence?
No, I think the momentum is good for them right now. I think the bye week came at a great time. The Rams game came at an even better time. So everything is pointing in the right direction. So it's really all in the balls in their court to do what's right with it. If they don't,
beat the Chargers,
what the rest of the season is going to be
pretty much. Well, if they beat Justin Herbert, I mean, on the one hand, I'll be impressed. On the other hand, it's like Seahawks did it. Like you're trying to take down the Seahawks, right? Your game behind them. Well, Seahawks beat them by 2 touchdowns, so they put up 37 on them.
This game is important, man. It's going to tell us what the rest of the season is going to be, what the trajectory is going to be for the rest of the season.
Because the Niners are 1-4 outside the division, 1-3, 1-4, 1-3, 1-4. It's not good. So yeah, if that's a problem, then they're going to lose to the Chargers. If that's just a quirk of the early season, then they'll beat the Chargers. Well, I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out. Thank you, man. See you again, man.
See you, man. All right, Colton has been pulled over. He's like, man, I shouldn't have pulled over. I've been pulled over here for like 5 minutes. What's up, man? How you doing? I pulled over for this guy, and he like makes me wait. Sorry.
No worries, man.
Where are you calling from?
Napa. I'm actually working today, man.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah. So my call, I think it's week 2, man, and I've had like this pit in my stomach, like when Trey went down, and even though like we're winning games and we're making moves and stuff like that, there's just something that's like not that it's all for naught or if we're beating the dead horse about Trey, but it's like what could have been, you know what I mean? And that kind of sticks with me a little bit.
Yeah, it's like the 49ers sort of committed an original sin on the season, and you can't undo that. Yeah, they're doing their best to undo it, but they did it. And they're culpable. And the way they reacted made it worse. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It's something hard. I mean, I know everyone talks about it, but it's just it's nice watching them win games and stuff like that when they do. But I don't know. You just think about the other things.
When they drafted him, everyone was like, man, this is the perfect situation for a young quarterback because the team is so good and he gets to sit. But the other side of that was, the coach and him are on different timelines. The coach is so far into his tenure without a winning record or a championship to justify his job. So he has to win now, and he can't really ever let Trey Lance develop as a passer. So they use him as a runner, when frankly the irony is that he needed to develop as a runner too. He doesn't slide. He doesn't do the zone read well. He didn't even do that play in college. He was a scrambler and a quarterback draw artist. And a quarterback. He was a quarterback in college who would scramble. And then Kyle's like, no, I want to use him like Justin Fields. Man, then you should have drafted Justin Fields.
Right.
Straight up.
Right.
You should have drafted Justin Fields. That's what he did. He did the zone read in college. Why is he in the shotgun? You liked him because he was under center in college, man. And what's crazy is when you had to use him as a quarterback, week 17, season on the line, got to win this game. He came through with 20 points in the second half, obliterated that team. It was just the Texans, but they made Herbert look bad. I'm just saying. Kyle bugs me with that. He bugs me with that. He's not good at developing young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He's
and
not.
Then all these guys that aren't in the Bay Area or aren't seeing him every day when he was like in training camp and stuff. This like he's not a good thrower of the deep ball or like whatever it is.
Right.
It's just it's bad to see, man. But yeah,
Okay.
that's my call, dude.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead,
so
man.
hold on. So he had that one game. He threw 4 deep passes this year, right? He didn't get to do anything against Seattle. He threw the 4. The first one he missed to Tyler Croft. He hit the next 3 in that game. What if that first one was to Ross Dwelly? I'm just saying.
He don't drop. He doesn't drop.
I'm just saying. It might have been a completion, man. Hard to miss Ross.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. Well, thanks for pulling over. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, man. You have a good day.
You too.
All right, bye.
All right. New York Nick, you're next. I think I missed a couple comments, so let me get them real quick, and then I'll get you, New York Nick. All right? Can you wait like 2 seconds? Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Chris Holt, feeling good because of the momentum mostly. When the Niners have the mental side covered, I feel they can beat any team in the league. Thoughts? Yes, but, they had momentum coming off of 2 big wins against the Rams and the Panthers. Big-time momentum. Went to West Virginia, did like team bonding and all kind of stuff, and then just got demolished 2 weeks in a row. So I'm curious to know how much momentum is a factor with this team. MILF Hunter on the hunt for MILFs says, Niners with Jimmy lead NFL in passing, number 1 DVOA. WTF. I didn't know that. That's crazy. I don't even know how that formula works because I was an English major and I stopped doing math in high school. And I don't remember any math class I've taken. Probably, like, if my kid is in 6th grade, when my kid gets to 6th grade and he or she's like, hey, Dad, can you help me with my math? I'm going to be like, no, you're on your own. Sorry. Dustin says, what situation would most likely cause Trey to be the quarterback next year? Maybe making the playoffs but getting eliminated the first round. Like, not too much success, Jimmy Garoppolo, but not too little. Hot seat. If the Niners don't win the Super Bowl and Kyle comes back next year, I feel like he's got to win it next year. And if his job is on the line, I just don't see him putting it in the hands of Trey Lance coming off 3 years on the shelf. I still think he's going to try to make a run. Does he have any picks left, though? He could trade Trey Lance straight up for Kirk Cousins. He's going to do something really irresponsible. That's what I think. But I hope they let Trey Lance be the quarterback of this team. All right, New York Nick. What's up, man?
Grant. What up, Grant?
What's up? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you, brother?
Pretty good.
Good, man.
Can't complain.
So you kind of answered my question. I was gonna ask you, because I know you picked this team to win the Super Bowl, before the season. I was gonna ask you if that's still your.
I don't think the Niners are going to win the Super Bowl. I feel like, they could run the table in the regular season. They don't have that many tough games left. But I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I think losing Mosley hurt big time. I guess, look, what could change that? Let me be optimistic here, not just write him off. If Verrett comes back and plays like Mosley, that's a game changer. If Armstead comes back, if Debo picks it up a little bit, if this new coaching staff gets it together, I mean, yeah, like look at the NFL. There's no great teams. All you got to do is be a little lucky, pretty much. You got to be kind of lucky. And if the Niners can win their division and not have to go, I think last year was tough. They had to go all those road games back to back to back. Week 18, they had 4 road games in a row. Mm-hmm. You're going to fall apart in the fourth quarter of one, I would imagine. So, look, I'm hard on the Niners. They're not a great team. There are no great teams in the NFL. There are none. And if there are any, they're in the AFC. So, you say the Niners haven't faced anyone. The Eagles haven't faced anyone. Their quarterback isn't playoff tested. You know what I'm saying? Nope. You don't know who's going to be healthy for them when the playoffs start. You have no idea. I mean, are the Niners getting healthier or worse? Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is probably, like, we don't know. Like, he might be Jimmy G level in the
playoffs.
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
We don't know. Yeah. I mean, he got benched in the national championship game in college.
Right.
He got straight up benched at halftime. That was a big game.
Yep.
Now, did he win? He might have won a national championship too. I forget. I don't follow college football.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
I agree. I mean, I agree with your sentiments. I think that this team is not. And remember last year when they were gonna go on this run, and you and Jesse were talking about, does this team give you like 2011 Giants vibes or like 2007 Giants vibes?
Yeah.
They're very. I feel like the teams are very
because they ran the table on the road, right? Yeah,
right.
It's hard to do.
They're very similarly built. Like this team is very similar. Like it's built for playoffs. Kind of like I feel like, I mean, the O line is not that good, but good D line, good run game. But it's the difference is really the coaching as far as like if they were gonna go like do it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Also, when you travel on the East Coast, as I've learned, everything's hella close. If you go from Pittsburgh to Baltimore, it's like an hour flight. On the West Coast, every flight is like 2.5 hours minimum.
Right.
It's exhausting.
Yep.
It's exhausting. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Anyway, yeah. So a couple of months ago, before I went to Charlotte, I went to a wedding in Albany, New York. I flew into New York, and then I had to leave New York City immediately and take the train up to Albany. That was cool. I mean, I had a good time in Albany, but I missed New York. It would have been nice.
Right.
You ever spend time in Albany?
I've been to Albany once. I mean, honestly, outside of the city, it's so bland. Like going to these.
It's way different.
Yeah.
It felt like Massachusetts or something. Right. It's way different. Yep.
New York, New York as a state in general is very, very. Yeah, it's not really.
It feels like New York is just the city. Like once you get past like the Bronx, it's like that's not really New York anymore.
Yeah.
That's Yonkers.
Right. Yeah. And upstate, it's crazy. You'll go upstate. I mean, not to get political, but you'll go upstate and you'll see like people like with like the Trump stickers, the Trump signs or whatever. Yeah.
What was crazy was so after that I went down to Charlotte and then I drove up to West Virginia and I was leaving West Virginia and like they had the Confederate flag just out and about.
Right.
It's like we don't hang those anymore. It's 2022. It's Whoa. It's like, yeah, but it's also West Virginia. No offense to people in West Virginia, but it's just, I guess the mentality there is like, hey, man, no one's coming through here and policing us.
Right.
No, it's us. Yeah. So I was like, it's time to go.
Right. Kind of like.
Anyway. Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Good luck. All right. Good to see you, man.
For sure, brother. Thank you, man.
All right. Take care. All right, man. I think I'm going to end the show now. Because no one else is in the queue. It's Saturday. You got the weekend off. You guys are probably doing fun stuff. Have a good time. I think I'll do one tomorrow. If you guys feel if there's a demand for it. Because my wife's working. I ain't got nothing to do. But you guys don't feel talkative today. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. And we can do the whole show ASMR style. Just whispering. That would be so creepy. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.